So, Jim, how are you feeling?
Feeling all right. I think we've sort of settled into a routine now, haven't we, of the working day and the places we've regularly been going to here in and around Helm and at the Dorahus crossing.
Yeah. And we see similar patterns to all the people we speak to in terms of their story and where they've come from, but still very different, and it doesn't make it any less horrific, if I can put it that way.
Once again, a very busy place, busier than yesterday, I reckon.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. And there seemed to be more trains leaving than there were arriving, and you could see people getting off the train, having to go through passport control, and then stay on the right side of the road, and then making their onward journey by train again. So going through passport control, then getting on another train, a Polish train, then heading off to Warsaw or Krakow or wherever.
Yeah, and you get some idea of the increase in numbers. There's almost like I wouldn't quite call it a stampede, because it was actually quite orderly, but when the word goes out that for people to make their way towards the train itself, a huge mass of people make their way up the stairs and across the bridge down to the platform, and that's sometimes happening at the same time as another train is on the opposite platform with people alighting, having just come from Ukraine. So it's this constant coming and going, which is really interesting to see, and gives you some idea that the journey for a refugee is not a one-stop thing. It's not just about getting out of Ukraine.
And then there was Olga as well at the Helm registration centre, who was in tears, and she said, "If I talk to you, I'll be crying." She was with her daughter, wasn't she, and their little dog. And we just said to her, it's okay to cry. It's good to cry. When you cry, you relieve the stress hormones. It helps. So she very kindly spoke to us, and it's been a privilege to hear these people's stories and to allow us to tell them and to let us film them, and because they've been through a lot, and to suddenly have some a couple of blokes from England turn up and poke a camera in your face. But they're people are happy to tell us because they want the world to know.
Yeah, that's true, and also that is mirrored by the authorities, whether it's the policemen or the aid workers or soldiers here in Poland we've encountered. They've been very willing to let us film relatively unobstructed. We need to notify people of our presence when we arrive in somewhere, but for the most part they just seem to be go ahead, let the world know.
It'd be interesting to see what it's like when we get to the border with Hungary, which is where we're going now. Obviously they're not taking in as many migrants as Poland are, nowhere near as many migrants as Poland, and Hungary has been a country that is extremely sensitive to immigrants and the issue of immigration, isn't it? So it'll be interesting to see, but I hear they've been very hospitable, so that's a really interesting, it'll be fascinating to see.